Hello everyone. Today's lesson, multiplying and dividing integers. So just like with the adding, three things can happen. You could either have a positive times a positive. We have to figure out what happens there. You could have a positive times a negative. I'm using a dot for times. Or you could have a negative times a negative. All right, so we have to figure out what happens in those three cases. All right, well, if you think about what multiplication actually is, if I give you an example, 2 times 3. We all know it's 6, but why is it 6? If you think about it, multiplication really means take two groups of 3 and add them together. So what's really going on here is 3 plus 3, that's why you're getting 6. Or I guess since you also know 3 times 2 is 6, that means 3 groups of 2. So 2, 4, 6, same answer. So it's really a shortcut for adding. Now again, you've been multiplying positives times positives forever. Have you ever gotten a negative answer? No, because of this. You're taking a certain number of groups of a positive number. Okay, so that's why you're always going to get a positive. So nothing new there. That's easy. Now let's look at an example for a positive times a negative. So let's try 2 times negative 3. Well, if we use the same logic, over here it was two groups of positive 3. This is going to be two groups of negative 3. So if we do two groups of negative 3, add those together, use your integer rules. Are the signs the same? Yes. You add them together and get a negative. So 2 times negative 3 is going to be negative 6. So if you have one of the numbers negative, now this is actually nice. If I flip it, let's say I do 3 times negative 2. Okay, that would be 3 groups of negative 2. Negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. That would also add up to negative 6. So this is cool. It doesn't matter which number has the negative. You know how in adding, the bigger number, if it was negative, the answer is negative? For multiplying, it's even easier. If one of the numbers is negative in the problem, your answer is negative. So you just do the normal multiplication. If one of the numbers was negative, your answer is negative. It's that easy. Okay? And then multiplying two negative numbers together. This is the hardest one to explain, but I'll try. So if we had negative 2 times negative 3, it's almost like I ignore that first negative. So if I ignore the first negative for a moment, I've got two groups of negative 3. Oh, I'm sorry, two groups of negative 3. Someone's knocking. But I can't ignore that negative forever. So I bring it down, and there we go. So I've got negative 3 plus negative 3. So that's going to be looking like this. And what does that mean? That means find the opposite of negative 6. 6. So it turns out when you have a negative times a negative, you always get a positive. All right? So let's just mix up some practice here. And we'll keep the rules there. All right, so practice. I'll put 5 problems down, and you guys can try them. 2 times negative 4, negative 3 times negative 5, 6 times negative 1. Sometimes they put the parentheses. Negative 8 times negative 10. And how about this one? Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. All right, we'll pause and you guys can try this. All right, so 2 times 4 is 8. One of the numbers is negative, negative 8. 3 times 5 is 15. They're both negative, so you get a positive. 6 times 1 is 6. One of the numbers was negative, so you get a negative. Negative 8 times negative 10 is 80. Both are negative, so you get a positive. Now this one you have to break down. A negative times a negative is a positive. And now a positive times a negative is a negative. Okay? All right, good job, guys. And now, oh, the last thing, if you want to write up here, the title was multiplying and dividing. Guess what? The rules are exactly the same for dividing. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. I'm going to give you some dividing problems, and then we'll go from there. All right.